Good evening, everyone. As I posted not too long ago, here's the weather update video that I'm going to do for this system. This is the latest synoptic chart. As you can see, this coastal trough has formed and there's a little bit of low pressure, weak at the moment, just by the offshore of the Queensland and New South Wales border. Now we're just going to swap over and I'm going to use Windy for the model breakdown because it just has a little better information. It shows better information. So here we go, we're just starting with the rainfall accumulation up until Friday. Now most of this will probably likely fall in the next couple of days. So as we saw the last few days, models were swapping and changing. They didn't quite know where the main part of the rain was going to be, but it's kind of got to that point where it's only about 24 hours away from really getting its butt into gear, so these are a little bit more accurate. So it's thankfully looking more and more like the mid-north coast is not going to get the brunt of it. Early modelling showed that they would, and that was really bad for those guys up there, considering they only had major flooding just last month. So it's moved, the focus has now moved down to the south coast. Now I've kind of pinpointed the forecast heaviest rainfall on the EC model here, which is just south of Wollongong. And so the brunt of it really is from just south of Sydney down even into Victoria. Could see quite a bit, maybe up to 100 mil. Let's just have a little poke. So yeah, 114, 115, 100. So that's not too bad for those guys. Now we'll go up to Taree and it's got 70. So it's not completely out of the woods, because being how soggy the soil is, any bit of rain could cause issues, but it shouldn't be more than about minor or moderate problems at the moment as far as rainfall is considered. Now we'll just move to the GFS model. Now GFS, surprisingly, which is actually quite rare for this model, is being a little bit more conservative. So where the area of focus had 235 millimeters of rainfall around just south of Wollongong, with GFS it's about 100 mil short. So it's been a bit more conservative compared to the EC, which, as I say, is actually really quite unusual. Usually GFS will be like a bull in a china shop and have the biggest totals, and it's not showing that today, which is interesting. Let's move on to our next model, which is Icon. Icon's a little bit more conservative as well. Not quite as conservative as GFS, but it's still pretty conservative, and it's showing better lower and better falls for up near Taree, being around 30. So that would be a nice amount for the next few days, and if that's all that fell, then there wouldn't be much issues at all up there. But again, the focus is down on the south coast and into Victoria, even with this model. So that seems to be the consensus over multiple models so far. Now what we're going to do is just swap to Access C. Now Access C I don't usually have in my updates because it only has around 48 hours of data. So we've entered that period where it now is covered by Access C. Access C is a bomb model, but it performs really well in that really short-term period because it's a lot higher resolution than all the other models. And even this is still showing that focus to be south of Sydney, around the Wollongong and Ulladulla area there. It doesn't have it so much into Victoria like the other ones, and it's about average for the Taree and the mid-north coast area. So yeah, just south of the Taree, it's showing just over 100 mils and stuff. So this one is really good for that short term. So this will be interesting to see which actually models do perform better. But generally, the XSC is a better short-term model. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to look into the wind. We're looking to wind gusts. And we'll start with EC again. And we'll just move it to the time where this system is strengthened, and we'll start seeing issues on the coast. So here we go. So this is around 10 AM on Tuesday. Let me just get my little gadget. There it is. So as we can see, the gusts are up around 115 and close to 80 to 90 kilometers on shore. If we just go a little bit closer, further along even, some of these coastal areas we'll see around the same, but they're stretching from Taree all the way down to about Ulladulla. These 60 odd kilometre gusts up till close to 100 in some cases if we just shovel it along. So 95 there. Now the actual main winds will be offshore, and they're likely to be around the 120. We may even get 130, no, 124, okay. So the winds have backed down a little bit on the EC model, but still pretty destructive. There will be localised stronger gusts inland. This is more of a general view, but in some of those wind tunnel areas where it will channel it through, you can expect pretty high gusts even on the coast. Now let's just move across to the GFS. Again, GFS is being a bit of a conservative model this time round, and just showing the gusts around the 83 mark, and that's even inland, as we can see there. Let's just move forward a little bit, and yeah, it's still been pretty conservative. Now we have the other icon model. Well, there's only one icon model, but you know what I mean. And that's similar to GFS with their near 100 km/h gusts onshore, or those exposed coastal regions around just north of Newcastle, Newcastle itself, even Sydney, down towards Wollongong. Ulladulla will still see some pretty strong gusts. Now let's move on to our Access C. Now Access C has a bit more of a condensed system, but it's showing some real big gusts. These will be offshore, so if anyone's boating, I wouldn't be around the area if this happens, like 163 km/h gusts out there. Now on shore, it's being a bit more bullish with those totals. We're being almost 110, even 121 in that particular area up there. So near Nelson Bay. It could be a bit of a wind tunnel there that could create some stronger gusts. And the same with around Newcastle area, but the further inland you go, the less they get, as is typical for this kind of system. So yeah, like now we've zoomed in, 173 km/h gusts offshore. Now, the worst is only expected to be during tomorrow morning and into the afternoon. By later on in the day, even though that low pressure center is expected to intensify in sense of pressure, the actual wind is looking like it will drop a little bit and quickly move out. By Wednesday morning, it looks like it should be well off the coast by most modelling and out the way of the mainland. So this is probably going to be about a 24-hour event for this strong wind. So it's just best to keep an eye on the warnings, keep the latest, because the models are still a little bit up in the air with things at the moment. Like EC still has some decent gusts down on the south coast by Wednesday morning, but even that should start to ease up by later in the day. Just all depends on how quickly this low pressure system buggers off. Now the GFS model is still being pretty conservative, but most models have this low disappearing pretty quickly and being way offshore by late on Wednesday, and most effects will probably not be felt by then. Still be a bit gusty in places, but you shouldn't be seeing those 100-kilometer-hour gusts by then. Now, let me just bring up this one, see if that goes out that far. It goes out to Wednesday, that's okay. Now, we're just going to bring up the waves, so anyone that's boating, this will be for you. Just got to find it in my list of bits. Okay. So here we have the height of it all. Offshore waves are a little bit less than what they were putting out the other day, which is quite a surprise considering how strong the winds will be. So they could be out way offshore, 5.3 meter swell. Now that swell will be closer to the shore down south of about Seals Rocks, and as we get into the offshore Hunter region, we'll see those 4.4 waves not too far off shore. So this will likely cause quite a bit of coastal erosion, and yeah, some of those beaches will be pretty treacherous to travel on. So I'd stay away from fishing on rocks or anything like that, even though some people may be tempted. I wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, that's pretty much the update on it so far. Now, as far as what it's going to be classified as, it's still up in the air, but most of the modelling are showing what I wouldn't class as a true East Coast low. It's more of a embedded trough low, or depending which model you go for, there could actually be twin lows, so it will be a complex system. Now I'll see if I can pick up that. There was a point with this model, might have been Access Normal, where it was showing two low pressure system centers. So you've got this here, there's one there, one here, one here. So it could be quite a complex system, this low, as there could be multiple centers. So with that, it's really not what you would call a classic East Coast low. And even the official forecast from BOM have now dropped that wording. They did have potential East Coast low in their forecast, but they no longer do, because it's looking less and less likely that it will actually be an East Coast low, even though it's off the East Coast. As I've explained in text posts, there's certain criteria it needs to reach that it's most likely not going to reach at this stage. So, but that could still change, but we will see what happens once everything gets going. But for now, stay safe, and yeah, make sure you heed any warnings and stuff like that.